online community support and its benefits for marginalized people, with special focus on musician-specific online spaces. The digital age has created an expansive network of connections for people of all backgrounds. There are pages centered around cooking, parenting, and memes. People can discuss politics or what dog breed is the best. The online world for musicians is no different, with thousands upon thousands of pages dedicated to every genre, musician, and instrument. Within these pages, support networks are created and fostered that allow their members to rely on and learn from others in the group. This is especially beneficial within pages that promote support and community for marginalized musicians. Online groups that celebrate and encourage marginalized musicians create safer, more open, and healthier environments that allow for the betterment of the people in the group, as well as the overarching systems in which they exist. The current research and identification on the methods that create these advantageous aspects of these groups can then lead to the betterment of the overarching groups and systems that do not give specific focus to marginalized communities. I would like to first begin with a short clip from a TED Talk entitled "The Tribes We Lead" by Seth Godin.
But there's good news around the corner, really good news. I call it the idea of tribes. What tribes are is a very simple concept that goes back 50,000 years. It's about leading and connecting people and ideas, and it's something that people have wanted forever. Lots of people are used to having a spiritual tribe or a church tribe, having a work tribe, having a community tribe. But now, thanks to the internet, thanks to the explosion of mass media, thanks to a lot of other things that are bubbling through our society around the world, tribes are everywhere. The internet was supposed to homogenize everyone by connecting us all. Instead, what it's allowed is silos of interest. So you got the red hat ladies over here, you got the red hat triathletes over there. You got the organized armies over here, you got the disorganized rebels over here. You got people in white hats making food and people in white hats sailing boats. The point is that you can find Ukrainian folk dancers and connect with them because you want to be connected. That people on the fringes can find each other, connect, and go somewhere.
Having gotten that good baseline of tribes and online communities, I will now begin looking specifically at my topic. This topic came about while I was scrolling through my Facebook page a few months ago. As a classically trained French horn player, most of the people that I interact with on social media are like-minded people, musicians who are in the field or attempting to enter the workforce. I'm part of countless Facebook groups, such as Facebook Brass, the core community, Horn People. It wasn't until June of 2020 that I was invited to a Facebook group called Female Trans Non-Binary Brass Players, a group that highlights and allows people within those categories only to join and participate in the group. A little over a year later, a group emerged called the LGBTQIA+ Horn Community, which I also joined. These two groups have been instrumental in realizing the importance of an online community for members or marginalized communities. As a bisexual woman in brass, there are certain issues that occur, and it's refreshing to have those issues be at the forefront of discussions rather than an afterthought or a non-thought. This examination of these two groups in my own world inspired me to research the benefits of online communities and the methods that are utilized in those groups to create a positive atmosphere for its members. By looking at the methods and qualities of these groups that have been identified and analyzed, I can then re-examine how they are present within the groups in which I identify. Amy L. Gonzalez's article entitled "Disadvantaged Minorities Use the Internet to Expand Their Social Networks" creates a foundation for the benefits found in online support communities. This work focuses most of its energy on the theory of the social diversification hypothesis, or SDH. One of the core elements of SDH is that the internet allows for historically marginalized people to expand their networks in beneficial ways. The expansion of networks then allows for the gain of social capital through bridging social capital, such as gaining external assets and the diffusion of information, and bonding social capital, which refers to the strengthening of existing ties. Gonzalez asserts that bridging social capital is the most vital for online communities due to the gain of assets, though bonding social capital allows for online communities to deepen their connections and enjoy a deeper wealth of support. These online ties allow for members to create and share more opportunities among themselves internally, rather than facing direct competition with those in power. Gonzalez claims that there is, however, a growing body of theoretical and empirical research that suggests that members of disadvantaged groups may be able to use the internet to circumvent some of these offline inequalities by facilitating access to weak or bridging ties. These methods of gaining social capital allow individuals to benefit directly from their online communities by allowing more connections to be fostered with and bolstered by other community members. The concept of gaining social capital through connections made within online groups is further supported when looking at specific minority groups. A work co-authored by Beirat Mehra, Cecilia Merkel, and Ann Peterson Bishop entitled The Internet for Empowerment of Minority and Marginalized Users does exactly that. This largely ethnographic study collects personal stories from members of low-income families, sexual minorities, and African American women to demonstrate the importance of having accessible technology, training, and online support. While each of these three group distinctions are meant to cover a different type of benefit, the overarching theme is that computers and the internet, when provided to minority groups, help to create better lives for the users, both offline and online. The group distinction that is most revealing towards online communities, however, is the section discussing sexual minorities and how they use the internet for their online communities to enact change within their environment. These online communities, often found in or around college campuses, allow for quick and easy dissemination of activist work and in-person events. This ability to rapidly send out information has been instrumental in creating a vibrant network of information sharing on these sites. The article states that LGBT members believe that the internet could play a significant role in action-oriented strategies to promote LGBT participation, particularly at local activities where a presence of LGBT members is perceived to make a difference, such as political events and rallies, policy and planning decision-making meetings on issues affecting LGBT lives, social support groups, and LGBT-related cultural events. By creating a fast-paced support network online, these individuals were able to connect with like-minded people that share similar backgrounds and desires to enact meaningful change within their communities. Also mentioned in the above quote is the importance of seeking out LGBT members, both for the events in which they're taking part as well as for other members within the community. Finally, this article brings into focus the idea of the digital divide, which examines the distinctions between those who have access to computers and the internet and those that do not. While this research into online support networks for marginalized communities is vitally important, it is also essential to realize that the privilege and the circumstances are needed to maintain an online presence. This divide is articulated well within this section on low-income families. This study would not have been possible for many of the participants had it not been for a program that allowed families access to a computer or internet. Once that access was granted, participants were able to search for vital information, aid in literacy projects, and connect with people both inside and outside of their immediate circle. This also allowed for people outside of the participants' immediate homes to utilize computers and the internet, which benefits in-person community values. Therefore, it is essential to address the fact that accessibility is the first hurdle to creating a positive and productive online community. Additionally, once the importance of accessibility is highlighted, examination can then begin as to the systemic structures that create the barriers to technology and online access. Now that accessibility is addressed, the discussion can move on to look at specifically at online communities that are founded or based within social media. A prime example of this is the Girls Like Us campaign created by Laverne Cox and Janet Mock, which displays many of the benefits and uses of a movement established on social media. A work entitled #GirlsLikeUs, Trans Advocacy and Community Building Online, co-authored by Sarah J. Jackson, Moya Bailey, and Brooke Foucault-Wells, delves into this online group and the ways in which it benefits its community. Much like the section on sexual minorities in the article by Mehra, Merkel, and Bishop, this article discusses the importance of online communities, especially in regard to the dissemination of information. This movement aims to uplift the voices of trans people, specifically trans women, and raise awareness of personal, interpersonal, and systemic problems that continue to bombard the trans community. They quote, "We find that trans women on Twitter, led by Janet Mock and Laverne Cox, and in response to histories of misrepresentation and ongoing marginalization and violence, deliberately curate an intersectional networked counter-public that works to legitimize and support trans identities and advocate for trans autonomy in larger publics and counter-publics. In addition, the #GirlsLikeUs allows all information regarding this group to be found in a single Twitter search." Girls Like Us additionally empowers its users by granting them the ability to create their own space and identity online. The authors additionally state, in social media, unlike in news and entertainment media, trans women can communicate about and construct identities and experiences without the drought, incomplete, and transphobic mediation of mainstream narratives. There is more room for interaction among like-minded people with similar backgrounds within the context of the social media community, which makes the back and forth ideas among individuals easier to navigate. Content is less about dealing with outsiders and closed-minded people and more about working within a community to offer support and guidance in all aspects of life. These lenses through which online communities are discussed and analyzed above can then be used to discuss and examine the online groups I interact with daily. As I mentioned, I'm a part of 2 of these groups that put all their energy and focus into marginalized communities. The LGBTQIA+ horn community and female trans non-binary brass players Facebook groups utilize the same tactics and reap many of the same benefits as the subject in the studies above. To begin, both groups make use of the connections made to increase social capital. These groups are host to many things, such as personal identities and stories, advice, discussions of problematic posts in other groups, programming choices to diversify, resource to support other marginalized groups, promotion of events, and gigging opportunities. Each of these subjects, among the countless others that are present, provide the group members with an avenue to better themselves, their playing, their career, and their communities, both inside and outside of these groups. The most telling instance of this community building and social capital engagement was through a post made in female trans non-binary brass players, in which the original poster posed a question regarding the use of chest binders for wind players. As a cisgendered woman, I had never even considered the fact that chest binders could restrict movement and breathing for musicians. Thankfully, my interest, though lack of understanding on this particular topic, was aided by countless other people offering advice, pricing that's accessible, personal anecdotes, and appreciation for bringing up a topic that people may need to know about, especially from the point of view of an educator. This post is just one of hundreds that are posted in this group, and there's a community of 2.8 thousand members to create and support and answer questions. Another vital aspect of these pages is the work towards social justice and the easy movement of people towards fixing problematic aspects in their workforce. A few times a week in these 2 groups, I see posts calling for action and support from fellow group members regarding problematic posts from colleagues, calling out institutions that are protecting and enforcing violence towards marginalized people, mobilizing people to participate in research, and calling for more diversity within institutions. By increasing the digital footprint of these topics, people are likely to see these problems more and more within their daily lives. The eye-opening nature to these posts creates the environment that allows and demands change. People can see these posts and then go do something about them. Looking at the benefits found in online groups for marginalized people, I then would like to call out the other music-specific groups in which I'm a part of on Facebook. While these groups are beneficial for connecting fellow musicians, instrument-specific advice, etc., I find it incredibly important to point out that when positionality goes unregarded within groups, marginalized and underrepresented voices are often not present in discussions, or they go unheard within a broader context. By utilizing and understanding the importance of these groups and the reasons in which they are successful and helpful to a lot of people, I hope to make these other more overarching groups better for all of their members. There's a lot of room for improvement, but first and foremost, positionality has to be at the forefront of the discussions. The privilege present and the disregard or ignorance to the problems that are brought up daily in marginalized people's lives need to be addressed and considered throughout all postings and discussions. This will allow these overarching groups to become more inclusive and positive for a larger number of people. Thank you.